Aloha kako. In these lessons, you've learned how measuring water quality parameters can help us understand the health of the Loko Iʻa. To really understand the long-term behavior and trends in the fish pond, it would really be great to have data that's collected often and in many different places at the same time. I'd like to turn our attention to a website called smartcoastlines.org. I have it pulled up right here, and we see a map of the Hawaiian Islands, and some of the pins here are focused on some of the Loko Iʻa that you visited. We see Alakoko Fish Pond here, Heʻeia Fish Pond, and Waikalua Fish Pond is in here as well. This website is a collaboration with the University of Hawaii and the fish ponds across the Hawaiian Islands to set up live sensors that are constantly collecting data about the health of the Loko Iʻa. So what I'd like to do is show you how to use the website and to explore the data that's available. So what you can do is to go to this website, open a new tab on your browser, and go to smartcoastlines.org. This will bring you to a page that shows you a list of sensors on the left that are currently operational in the fish pond that you've chosen. So right here you can see in this dropdown that we're on Heʻeia Fish Pond's set of sensors. And if you drop down here, you can see that there are a variety of locations that are currently being monitored by this project, including Waikalua Fish Pond right here. Let's focus on Heʻeia Fish Pond and look at some of the data that's being collected. I'm going to choose the salinity sensor here at Hihimanu, and we'll also look at the water level sensor at Hihimanu and compare some of the data. So I'll click on this one. And we can see here a table that describes all of the parameters that are currently being monitored by this sensor. Each parameter has its own variable name. We see the value of the current data point, or the most recent data point that was collected. The units that apply to that parameter. So for example, electrical conductivity is measured in millisiemens per centimeter. In this column, we see the description for the particular parameter of interest. And then in the last column here, we see how recently this data point was collected. And we see that this was collected just 4 minutes ago. So this is live data. As we scroll down, we can see the graphs of the data that's been collected over the last few days, going back to April 14th, and then all the way up to today, April 20th. So as we look at the data points, we can start to see some patterns here. In particular for this parameter, we're seeing fluctuations throughout the day of the amount of electrical conductivity in the water. So we look at the title of the graph that tells us what parameter we're collecting. On the left side, on the y-axis of the graph, we see the electrical conductivity measured in millisiemens per centimeter. And then on the x-axis here, this is time. So what time of day we're talking about. Let's look at some of the other parameters as well. So we had electrical conductivity here. We can see some other data here for salinity. So this is the saltiness of the water. And we see some fluctuation day by day as well here. Let's look at the density of the water as well. There seems to be some similarity between this graph for density and the graph for salinity if we look at them side by side. This similarity makes sense because if we think about the salinity and how it's related to density, if you add more salt to water, then the water is going to be heavier than it was before. So with more salt, we're going to have a higher density. If we look at the same time of day or same time of the week, we see that there's an increase in both locations on the graph. As you take away salt, as it's happening here on April 19th, the density seems to decrease as well at the same rate. So there's a correlation between the salinity and the density. Let's continue down here. Here we notice this graph is measuring the sound speed. How fast does sound move in the water? We see that that changes day by day as well. And if we compare that with the next graph, this one is measuring water temperature. And each day as the sun heats the water, we would expect that the temperature would rise. And then at night, the temperature falls. We see that here in the temperature graph. And there seems to be a connection to the sound speed. If you increase the temperature, then that means that you're increasing the sound speed as well. This also makes sense because if you increase the temperature of the water, you're increasing the energy or the vibration of the molecules of the water. If the molecules are vibrating faster, then they can carry sound faster through the water. So that makes sense as well. Let's also compare what we see in these graphs with what we see in another set of graphs detected by a different sensor. So I'll go up to my water level sensor here. This is in the same location at Hihimanu. And we can see that the variable D2W measures the distance from the sensor to the water surface. If we scroll down, this is the graph that's measuring the distance to the water. And we can see that at different times of day, the distance to the water changes. We can also see that on April 14th, the water was highest, meaning the distance from the sensor to the water was the smallest, right at the beginning of the day. And as we look at later days, the maximum height of the water shifts away from the date line right here. So here, the highest point of the water was right after April 14th. And here, it's about halfway through the day. Now, what might this be related to? Well, if we think about how the moon creates the tides, when you have a full moon, you're going to have a high tide. And at different times of day, so at a full moon, you'll have a very high tide, which would be measured by the sensor as one of the lowest peaks here. Also, since the moon has different phases throughout the month, then the time of day when you're going to have high tide also shifts. So this is detecting high tide as it shifts throughout the month. I wonder if there's a connection between the tides and what we see in the salinity or other parameters. So I'm going to move this one over here and take this one and move it right there so we can compare the distance to the water, which is the tide level, and some of the other parameters. Do we see any relationships here? Well, what I'm starting to see here, if I compare the distance to the water or the tide with the electrical conductivity, this looks pretty interesting. It looks like when there's a high tide, which means the distance between the sensor and the water is low, then it looks like that's the time of day when we have a peak in the electrical conductivity. Seems to be that there's a relationship there. So I wonder if that might mean when we have a high tide, that's bringing in ocean water into the Loko Iʻa, and with the ocean water comes many different minerals and salts that are going to increase the conductivity of the water. Because if you have salty water, then we know that salt is made up of ions, like a sodium ion, and ions are charged particles. The more charged particles you have, the better you can conduct electricity in that water. So there seems to be a connection there. So in your activities, explore these graphs and see if you can find similar patterns. These patterns are going to shift by day to day, but you can start to see long-term patterns that can help you predict the current state or the future state of the Loko Iʻa. So I hope you have fun exploring the science of the Loko Iʻa and some of this live data. Aloha and happy exploring.